Welcome to the Breaking 90 podcast, where we talk about all things sustainable fat loss. We take people on 90-day journeys to creating fat loss forever. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy the episode.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Breaking 90 podcast. I'm your host, Alex Harriman, here with my co-host, Kelly Sarlo, and we are two of the coaches of Breaking 90 Fitness. Thanks for being here. I hope you enjoy today's episode. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Alex. How are you?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Good, as usual. Thank you.
What's new?
Well, as you know, I had the pleasure of attending your surprise birthday party, which was super fun for a number of reasons. One of which I got to meet people from all different areas of your life. And I learned that some people don't know you like playing pranks and like being a shit disturber. And that shocked me. I was dumbfounded.
I'm guessing that was some of the other coaches that I work with online.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting because, like, for those of you who don't know me, I've got a lot of different irons in the fire. But those people, like, I talk to them and work with them daily online, but I haven't met a lot of them in person, similar to our clients. So like they see the little things like our clients do, like they see the little jokes and the jabs and things like that. But for people who haven't spent a lot of time with me in person the way you have, they don't get the full pleasure of that.
A full pleasure, he calls it. Love it.
Well, thank you for being there. It was a really special day, and it was cool to celebrate with all my favorite people.
Yeah, it was. It was great energy in the room, and I don't like when you meet people who belong to wonderful people like yourself, it just grows your circle too. So it was a gift in a lot of ways.
Cool.
Alex can't take a compliment.
Yes,
Segue into topic.
That's awkward, so we're gonna move on.
Healthy eating on a budget.
That's got a little bit too many feelings attached to it.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, healthy eating on a budget. All right. Where are we taking this? So, how do you want to start this?
By saying it's possible. I think for a lot of people, especially in today's day and age, they are discouraged by the idea of eating healthy because prices are astronomical compared to what they used to be, right? But they
Great.
kind of just decide it's not doable, and they don't necessarily not even go down the rabbit hole, but begin to actually make efforts in smaller areas where they can. It's kind of like an all or nothing mindset. So I was hoping that we could sort of break down different possibilities in terms of either specific foods, maybe recipes, or different ways of approaching shopping.
Yeah, cool. Love it. So before I even go down that rabbit hole, like I agree 100% prices are higher than they've ever been, but we still have to eat. Like it doesn't matter how high the cost of food becomes, you need to eat. You don't eat, you die. And so whether that food is going to be fast food, restaurant food, prepared food, healthy food, or unhealthy food, we have to make it work. So all of those go up fairly proportionally. Like it's not like unhealthy food has increased at a slower rate than healthy food. There still might be gaps there, but they're both raising at an exponential rate. They're both raising at a similar rate. So that's something important to know before we go down this journey.
Yep. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay. Now, the next thing I want to start with is that the people that are like, well, it's cheaper to eat unhealthy, like that's absolutely bullshit. For a number of reasons. Like I can give you the corny reason that it's like it might be cheaper, but it's affecting our overall health, and it's not cheaper because it's taking life from you, and it's decreasing your quality of life and blah blah blah. That's the corny version, but the truth is it's not cheaper to eat unhealthy. Like because I shouldn't say that. There are variations of unhealthy eating that are cheaper. Like it is cheaper to go get like a box of noodles and just eat noodles every night. Like that is cheaper, but most people aren't doing that.
Yeah.
Most of the people that are saying it's cheaper to eat unhealthy are still making room in their diet to go to McDonald's. They're still making room in their diet to eat fast food, to eat takeout food, to buy bags of chips, to buy the unnecessary foods. Those foods increase your food cost bill so fast that it's like your argument is out the window.
Hmm.
So if you're actually like at home and you're on a budget so much that you're buying a bag of noodles and you're dividing that noodles into like 7 different meals for the week, this is completely different. I'm not directing this to you. I get it. That's a struggle. But if you are still finding a place in your budget, your food budget for comfort foods, it's not cheaper.
Hmm.
Any homemade meal is cheaper than going and buying fast food right now. Fast food, restaurant food, takeout food, all of that stuff adds up so freaking fast. Fast food's more expensive than it's ever been, like other foods. You don't have to be at home cooking expensive steaks, but I promise you, you can cook a healthy meal at home for far less than any takeout food. And we can batch prep and cook that, which we'll get into, I'm sure, which will bring down the dollar cost average quite a bit.
Hmm. Love it.
Okay, cool. Where do you want to go next?
Probably specific foods then. I think especially if this is going to be kind of like a quick and dirty podcast to help people reset that mind frame. Walk me through where I should be gravitating toward in the grocery store or what type of grocery store to help me.
Okay. So we want I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of like what's best for you too much because that's what our other podcasts talk about, but we want more protein, more fruits, more vegetables. The more we can increase our protein, fruits and vegetables, the overall healthier we're going to start to eat, and as a result we're going to get leaner, we're going to perform better, we're going to feel better, we're going to live longer. Now, protein, fruits and vegetables, let's break those apart. So vegetables are expensive, but they change value in different seasons. So we need to look at what the cheap and expensive vegetables are for the time of year that we're in, and we need to decrease waste. One of the biggest reasons that our vegetable cost goes up is because we buy a vegetable for a specific meal, we use some of it for that meal, we let the rest go to waste. Or we buy it with good intentions, put it in the fridge and don't eat it, which is what a lot of people do. If we can decrease that, then we can save a lot of money. So I love Coach Jerica gives a great tip here. It's like when you buy something, just cook it all. If
Yeah.
you're buying like a head of broccoli and you only need a half of that head of broccoli or a quarter head of that broccoli, just cook the whole head of broccoli because you're more likely to consume it if it's cooked and in the fridge and like easily convenient and available. And then you can actually just base your other meals around how could broccoli be paired with this so that it all gets consumed. The second part of that is you can freeze the vegetables before they go bad because then we can use them for things like stir fries and pastas and casseroles, things in slow cookers where it doesn't need to be as crisp and fresh. Like it's still going to be good in that meal. So those frozen vegetables are going to keep a ton of their nutrients, most of their nutrients, and not go to waste. Um, the third option is that some of them can be blended up and used in like green smoothies and things like that, which obviously isn't always great and it's not going to work for every vegetable, but some of them will work.
Hmm.
Okay.
Sure.
Worst case, like blend it up and feed it to your dog, but don't throw it in the garbage.
Okay. Fair. Love it.
Okay, so that's vegetables. Now,
Oh, sorry, you said blending, and my brain went to all of those scraps and all of what we would consider waste easily gets thrown into making a broth.
oh
And
yeah,
broths go such a long way.
broths, soups, stews, pasta sauces. You can easily steam these vegetables so they're soft, or even slow cook them so they're soft, and then add them to any of those. You could put them in like meatloaf. You can put them in like all kinds of different things. You can sneak like these vegetables in. Pasta sauce is so easy to sneak all of this stuff into.
Hmm.
The next part of vegetables though is like frozen vegetables do still carry most of the same nutrients. Like it's very minimally different, and frozen vegetables are way cheaper. So don't shy away or think that it's a worse choice to buy frozen vegetables. They're a little bit harder to use for certain recipes, but for things like stir fries and those other things we just covered, like a frozen vegetable works fine. So use them.
I think about someone sitting down with like their plate of frozen vegetables versus a takeout French fry and looking at the coach and being like, which one do you think I should choose? Like, what do you think we're going to say?
Yeah. Well, and like let's think about that. Like one of those like big Costco size bags or like value size bags of frozen vegetables at the grocery store is like dollars.
Mm,
Dollars. And a meal at McDonald's now, like you're probably $12 or $13, right? Like
easily.
how many vegetables could you eat? How many frozen vegetables could you eat before you're stuffed? I bet
Mm,
you could only eat a couple dollars worth.
yeah.
And you compare that now, if we look at the proteins, which we'll get into here in a minute, you compare that with some of the cheaper alternatives for proteins, and you're producing meals for like $3 to $4 realistically if you do a good job of your batch prepping.
Love it. I know we're not talking to students in particular, but I just think about people at different stages of their lives struggling to figure out how do I eat healthier when I am trying to manage my money in a really smart way. And everything that you're talking about can apply to a dorm room situation, can apply to new parents who are trying to conveniently do things with a new baby and a crazy lifestyle, to the average person who's just working their job and trying to be healthier.
Well, it's interesting they say that because like this is how we made a lot of Emerson's baby food when he was a baby. It's like baby food's just pureed food that we're already eating. So we would take the foods we were eating. Like I would take chicken, sweet potato, and broccoli. I'd pour it all into a slow cooker, cook it till it was soft, and then blend it.
Hmm.
Like that's what baby food is, guys.
Yeah.
And so not only was it cheaper, I was guaranteeing which nutrients went in and making sure that he was getting what I deemed an appropriate balance. And it was easy. It's super freaking easy. You just dump it all in a slow cooker, slow cook it till it's soft, blend it. You can do that. Like the vegetables that we have in our fridge that start to go soft, that lose their crispness and freshness, like they're not bad, guys. They're not going to kill you. They just don't have that crunch and that crispness. They're not going to taste good if you dip them in like a hummus or something like that. But if you use them in this type of scenario, they're still full of nutrients. They still have a lot of potential left in them.
Yep. Love it.
Fruits is basically the same. Like the only thing I want to add for fruits, like the same thing applies with in season and out of season fruits. They vary greatly. The frozen fruits are still a great option. The only thing that I'm gonna add there is like the smoothies. Like any fruits can be chunked up and frozen and added to smoothies. So there's no reason you should be throwing out fruits because smoothies and smoothie bowls are even adding that stuff to like oatmeal or protein pancakes like that, there's no reason that we should be wasting those. So this all circles back to the first idea that wasted food is our most expensive food. Any food that we're not going to consume that we purchase and throw out is our most expensive food. If you're doing that, fix that first.
Love it.
Okay.
Yep.
Now I want to go to protein. So protein can vary greatly, and there's some proteins like beef right now is absurd how expensive beef is. Um, so we need to look for sales. There's most cities have multiple grocery stores. They have things like the Flip app. If you haven't started using the Flip app, I'd strongly encourage it. All you do is you go on the Flip app, you search for steak, you see which grocery store has the best steak price. If you depending on the grocery store you use, a lot of them now price match. So all you have to do is show your Flip app and
Wow.
say, hey, this is on sale over at this grocery store. Will you guys match this? And if it's a similar grade of meat, they will almost always match it if they're a price matching store. And so then you don't even have to drive around the city to multiple grocery stores, which is a problem in itself.
Yep.
Um, but most of the time, like if we're trying to eat on a budget, we're going to avoid things like steak. It's going to be that's going to be more of like a special occasion type of thing, anyways. From a nutrient standpoint, we're still getting most of the same nutrients, protein, and value from ground beef as we are from steak. So your ground beef is exponentially cheaper. It's more versatile. We can use it in way more recipes. I really, really strongly encourage you guys to go the ground meat route for a lot of your protein choices to save money. Ground turkey, ground chicken, ground beef, ground pork all have a ton of nutrients that are super versatile. And they, for the most part, are much cheaper, easier to break up in portion and freeze the chunks we're not using and then use again at a later date.
Love that.
Okay. Um, if you're not a meat eater though, the same sort of thing applies. Eggs are going to be a go-to regardless of whether or not you're a meat eater, probably. Your vegetarian proteins, they can get very expensive, so we want to track these sales, get a freezer and freeze the stuff that we're not using so that we can ride the sale wave. If you do this strategically, most of these sales happen incrementally throughout the year. You should be able to freeze during expensive seasons and reuse, and then restock during sale seasons, and always keep your supplies so that you're not having to buy tofu or chicken or steak when it's at an absolute premium.
I think we had like 18 things of butter in our fridge at one point because it went on sale back to about $4 as opposed to 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Absolutely. And like Greek yogurt and cottage cheese and other great sources of protein, they freeze decent, like especially if you're using them in things like smoothies or yogurt bowls and mixing them with other things. So look for the sales on the yogurts and stuff like that, and don't hesitate to freeze those and other cheeses and things like that too. This is a freezer, although it's a bit of an upfront investment, is going to save you money long term if you use it properly.
Yeah, I want to add just on the note of you talking about freezers, I want to add the idea of reaching out to your community to ask them to do those things that we're talking about in this podcast with and for you, right? The amount of people that I have in my own local community who will call or text and say, I'm at the grocery store, strawberries are on sale. Do you want me to get you some? I'm at the grocery store, butter's on sale. Do you want me to get you
Love that.
some?
Love
Yeah,
that.
it's wonderful because it's operating with convenience, right? You are now keeping each other in mind. You've got a little bit more of that village helping you out when they see opportunities for you to save and stock up in the ways that you're talking about. I think a lot of people forget, and I've mentioned this on many podcasts, we forget we're allowed to ask for help.
Love that. That's a great idea. And everybody has friends and family that have similar health related goals. So if you band together and you're like, guys, we need to increase our protein, fruits, and vegetables. If anybody sees a great sale on any one of these three things, send the bat signal.
Love that. Or buy 10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like that's freaking awesome.
Mhm.
Now, going back to kind of what I was saying before, we need to track and follow the sales. We shouldn't be doing the majority of our purchases at the expense of grocery stores. There's grocery stores that have higher quality of proteins, fruits, and vegetables. And typically, as a result, everything else at that grocery store is exponentially more. Do your grocery shopping at the cheapest grocery store you can find. And if the proteins, fruits, and vegetables look like trash there, or they're not in good shape, you can do those three things at the more expensive grocery store if you see fit, if you need to. Um, but don't be buying like the pasta sauces, the butters, the milks, the yogurts, the stuff that's the same at every single
Yeah.
grocery store doesn't need to be purchased from the expensive grocery store.
Smart.
Um, Now, so we talked about the main, like the main, if you're looking to get healthier, we want to increase proteins, fruits, and vegetables. The sides, the sides can be used, you can like your carbs, your fats, we can decide what we like, what we want to make, that kind of thing. But once again, like look for opportunities to buy in bulk and use for many. If you're buying like a little bag of rice, it always is going to work out to more than buying a big bag of rice. Buy the big bag of rice, keep it well, use it for a long time, use it as your main carb side for a while. That's going to save you a ton of money. I don't need to spend too much more time on this specifically, but if we do this well, guys, your meals are going down to probably $3 to $4 to $5 per meal, depending on how much you're eating. You go out for one meal, there's no way you're getting away with less than like a 9, 10 to $13 meal. You go out to a restaurant for a meal, you're probably not coming out of there for less than like 30. So even by avoiding that one time, we're now getting enough food to make 6 meals for ourselves for the same price.
I love this. This is wildly empowering.
If you do this well and you don't waste food, that price starts to come down. So if I'm like, hey, I want to have chicken, vegetables, and rice tonight, and I go to the grocery store and there's a 4-pack of chicken for $20 or a 2-pack of chicken for $12, it's cheaper to buy the 4-pack, make the extra meals, and eat them throughout the week than it is to buy the 2-pack if I don't throw them out or waste them,
Yeah.
which is what so many people do. So that is the actual problem. The budget's not the problem, the cost of food is not the problem, the wastefulness of the food becomes the problem. So we have to look at, how can I not waste this? How can I prep this and have it convenient for myself in a manner that I will not waste it? Because if I do that properly, then I'm for sure saving money.
Oh, this has been great. I think you've given a ton of value.
Was there anything that we didn't cover though that you had said at the beginning that you wanted to? I think we touched on everything.
Yeah, I like that you broke it down into proteins, fruits, and vegetables, the specific focus that we want people to have first. Mentioning sides was great. And then I think you've really helped with conceptualizing where to be, right, in their local grocery stores. So I think people have a good to do list to think about.
Cool. We'll leave it at that then. I'm sure there's more that could be added. And you know what? If you're listening to this and you're like, hey, I've got a great tip, like let us know or share it. If you're in our free Facebook group, or if you're
Yeah.
not, join it. Forever Fit, Forever Strong. If you can't find it, you send me a message. I'll get you in there, because in this group we love sharing recipes and strategies around nutrition and cost savings with food. It's a great community for that. So if you're listening to this, go out and join that community and share your best tips.
Love it. Thank you.
Did you want to leave them with a tip?
Sure. Something I just learned recently that I wish I had known for, well, decades, is that pineapple is a natural cough suppressant. So if we're heading into a season where you guys are catching those allergies or colds, a little bit of pineapple before you go to sleep, especially if you want to get through the night, can be a really great way to naturally suppress your cough and not leave you with the hangover side effects. I will say this though, brush your teeth right after, because those pineapple enzymes will also eat the roof of your mouth. So there is an upside and a downside if you're not doing it properly.
And if you're trying to eat on a budget, you can buy canned pineapple for a fraction of what you can buy fresh pineapple.
Crushed it.
Okay, guys, thanks for listening. We appreciate you being here. Have a great day.